All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Nerds Who Drink. I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And guys, this week we are visited by Yards Brewing Company out of Philadelphia, by the Very Mega, Super Deluxe, Mega Awesome Beer. It's a double IPA with a 9.2% alcohol by volume. The 8-bit characters on the front give me that nostalgic feeling from my childhood that I am ever so longing for if you're a 90s kid. Or I guess an 80s kid too.
Brings back the old school Game Boy.
Yes, it does. It's beautiful. It looks like Macho Man Randy Savage is like elbow dropping Godzilla. I love it. This is awesome. Definitely going to post a picture of this bad boy. But without further ado, before we get any further into this bad boy, 3, 2, 1... The beautiful cracking of the beer. Oh, there you go, Mark. A little behind, but we'll take it.
Not bad. It started to swell.
It smells good. Off the bat. Ooh.
I like that.
A little hoppy, but it's smooth. I really like that. That's
dangerous.
And at 9.2%, I might very well die if I drink like 6 of these.
That's dangerous.
I want to say don't drink 6 of these. What? Hold the fuck up. There's a QR code on here. It says scan the code, play the game, win the beer. All right, that's what we're doing at the end of this episode. I'm telling you that right the fuck now.
What?
Yeah, we're doing that. I'm doing it. All right. Before we get too off track.
All right, so do we want to start angry and end happy, or do we want to start happy and end angry?
No, we're going to start angry. I'm going to start angry because that's the most fucking polarizing shit I've ever watched in my entire life.
All right, so those of you who tuned in, spoilers will be ahead for both Deadpool and Wolverine and the Umbrella Academy. Steve, I know the Umbrella Academy just sheerly from watching the show. I know you have comic knowledge, so...
Not a ton of it, I'm going to be honest with you. I read some of it
more
online.
Than I do.
Yeah, I read a little bit online when it first came out because it was such an interesting series. Like season 1 was like a couple different comics melded into one, which was awesome. Let's talk about the newest season, season 4. Let's get into that before we really I loved this show pretty much up until the end of this season, and technically yes, it's a comic accurate ending, so if you know the comics you know the ending already, but I was not a huge fan of this season itself. So I know you have a lot of hot takes. Maybe not hot takes, maybe everyone agrees with you, but hit me.
So I got mind you, I'm somebody who I can look past all of Game of Thrones things. I know you didn't watch it, but the whole season 8 controversy and all that, I can look past it because it's 1 or 2 things they need to change for it the ending to be great. But I got very Game of Thrones-esque vibes from this.
Okay.
In the sense that season 1, like you said, was awesome. Season 2 was building. Season 3 had its moments, and then season 4 just crashed. Like you said, number 1, obviously, I love the fact that I forget her name offhand, but Nick Offerman and his wife.
Oh yes.
I just love the fact that they're always in stuff together.
Yes, huge fan of him.
And he played an awesome character, but like you said, I did just certain things I didn't get. Number 1, where was Pogo? Because in every other universe, Pogo was there.
Mm-hmm. And we actually, Mark and I texted about this the other day, and I think, again, my running theory, I could be wrong, I did no research on this prior to this because I don't want my opinion to be swayed by potential fact. So my theory on it is because, I looked it up the other day, and I'm going to call everyone by their fucking, their names, but, Jesus Christ, their father. I can't even think of his name. He's the monocle in the...
Hargreaves.
Yes.
Reginald
Hargreaves. So his moniker in the comics is the Monocle. That's his superhero name, right? So everyone got a superhero name in the comics. They pay tribute to Luthor's in this season, which is the Space Boy, when he's the stripper. But other than that, 5,
He's a professional dancer.
Yes, you're right. He's a professional dancer. 5 and I think Vanya in the first season are the only people that ever really have anything kind of related to their monikers. So I think it's because in this universe, his wife is still alive, so he never creates his robotic wife, who is the mother of the Hargreaves children, and he never has to create Pogo as an experiment.
So
because he's never alone.
So in the original universe, though, was she like...
She's dead.
She's dead, yes, but was she superpowered?
She wasn't superpowered in this one either, technically. They're both aliens.
Is that what it is? Because I thought that was like her power.
No, I think that's an alien.
Having like the little tentacle thing and being able to pretty much wear people's skin.
I thought that was because they were aliens. I mean, I could be fucking wrong. But she created like the, quote-unquote God particle, the marigold.
Right.
And then they don't really ever mention the other particle in any other season, which leads me to believe that... Well, I mean, okay, so they don't mention it, but they kind of reference it in this season, saying that, like, that particle's existence in any universe is the reason that they end the world.
Okay.
But, again, it's never mentioned until this season that there's, like, a second particle that exists that gives people not really superpowers either. It's like the antithesis of superpowers. Because Jennifer doesn't have powers. Jennifer is just a person.
Right, but I thought she was like an... wait, no, Jennifer was Nick Offerman's wife, correct?
No. The woman that they... No, the woman they grab from that, like, town, like the shoot-'em-up town.
The one that they were protecting, correct.
So she doesn't have, like, powers like the Hargreaves kids do.
She just, like, merges with the power that they have.
Correct. And that's essentially, it's, like, the positive and negative touching. So the positive being the powers, the negative being essentially nothing, but together...
Now, did it have to be Ben? Or could it have been any of them? Okay.
It just happened to be Ben because Ben's, like, he personally has a good heart.
Right.
And that's what, like, in the flashback, back when they were kids, when they have their memories restored. But again, we're just giving you guys all these wonderful spoilers here. But wait, when they have the memories restored...
We warned them.
They see Ben, try to get the girl out because he's rebelling against his father, but also, like, being a good-hearted person by saving her. And in that universe, Ben dies, but he would have killed them if he touched her. Yeah, so it's just one of those things that's, like, really odd. I also think it was weird. They say it was like, counterfeit marigold or whatever they wanted to call it, but they all got similar but altered versions of their powers.
And I kind of enjoyed that, but at the same time, I did think it was a little bit weird, because, like, I don't know about you. I know your favorite one of your favorite characters at least was Five.
I like him for reasons we'll get into in a few.
But for me, like, my favorite character, just his arcs every season always intrigued me the most, was always Klaus.
Okay, I like him.
And, I mean, the only different power he really got, because me and my wife, when we were watching it, we're sitting there, and it was when they were fighting, like, the monster, he, like, flies away. He's like, I can fly now, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But, like, that seemed to be, like, the only alteration that they got was, like, they could fly. Or unless that was just Klaus, because it felt like Luther couldn't.
No, it was just Klaus. Luther is the only one that I think his powers were effectively the same, because he didn't have anything that was, like, inherently different.
Because that was my question, was...
Because he was infused with the monkey, right? Which is a weird thing, honestly, because Luther's powers are not that he's infused with a primate.
Right, that was just, like, something they added to it. It's like Wolverine. Like, Wolverine's powers aren't his metal claws, it's his healing factor.
Correct. He almost died during... Although, you know what?
I mean, he had the bone claws, but...
I don't think they ever showed it prior to this season, but he was bulletproof. Or, like, extremely bullet resistant. I'm not going to say bulletproof, because he was like, ow, this hurts.
I think there's another season where he does get shot.
Okay, I got
or, like, shield somebody from shooting. Because I know the one was very heavy into the, assassination. They were fighting a lot of, like... That's what I mean. I know they were fighting a lot of, like, Secret Service members and stuff. So there might have been a scene in there, but...
It's possible. I got to rewatch, like, the first, second, and third season again. It's, been a couple of years since they've all come out. But, yeah, I think... that for me was kind of weird because they didn't restore the timeline. They restored their powers, and Luther's powers were always super strength. He was just a skinny kid that was super strong.
Right.
So for me, that a little off. Like, if I had the power of flight, but, if something happened to me and then, like, I got webbed feet as, like, a scientific experiment, if I got my powers back, I would not expect to have the webbed feet. Like, that's just not part of the deal. And Diego has always had the power to manipulate projectiles.
Right.
He really, really utilizes it this season, and I don't know what else they really had on his as well that, like, was altered.
That's what I mean.
So but 5, he had, like, the timeline switching.
But what was that him do? That was just him finding the railway, and then they proved that he had already discovered how to navigate.
Correct. Other versions of him figured it out, but, like, I don't know. He never did it before. He time traveled. But, like...
Because you got that Council of Rick moment where he, like, walks in the diner and it's all 5s.
Yeah. And then, so Allison, let's use her. She had the most, like, drastic...
change.
She had the fucking telekinetic ability, which, like...
Did she have that, like, before with... Because I know before with the whispers. I know she used to have... At first it was, she would have to say, I heard a rumor. Yeah. Then it got to a point to where she didn't have to say it.
So,
and that's where I wasn't sure.
Powers evolving?
That's possible, too.
Like, are they becoming more attuned to their powers?
Well, it could be that, or... if it's a different universe every season... which is kind of the way...
They're like anchor beings, essentially, which we're going to get into in Deadpool.
Right.
But they are anchor beings, so they are the same. Because the universe is changing around them. They are transferring to different timelines.
And that's where I was curious if it's one of those things where, take the MCU. They already said that your variants vary the further you get from the original timeline. Mm-hmm. What if it's kind of the same thing with their powers? So the more you... vary from your original timeline, the more kind of like
different your powers get.
Right, like your powers kind of go through like a Darwinism kind of evolution,
which is interesting. I mean, I'm cool with it. I like the idea.
Because like for me, did Lila always have like everybody's powers?
Yes. So she is the Kirby of that universe, or the... I don't want to call her...
Because she came up like laser vision. I'm like,
that one really fucked with me because maybe that's her original power. Like that's her like OG power.
Right.
Or maybe someone else had that she came in contact with, but whatever. She apparently was one of the original kids that just didn't get picked up by Hargreaves.
Right.
Her original power may have been laser vision, but like she also has the ability to absorb anyone's power that's near her. Okay. I don't want to call her rogue because she's not stealing your power, but she's able to basically manipulate it and like
more like a taskmaster kind of a thing.
Yeah, she can copy whatever power there is around her, which is kind of cool.
Because that was the one that was the one that threw me off because she just starts shooting like green lasers. So I'm like, she never had lasers to
nothing I'm aware of. No, and then Victor or Vanya for. Those of you that may have not watched this far into these seasons, Victor's power was originally the white violin, so it was a white essence that came out. Now it is more like a radioactive, like red wave.
Mine was like Havoc.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely one way to put it because at one point Hargreaves was like under her or under his. Like the concussive wave that was like shattering the ground around him. It was crazy. I liked that. That was a cool concept. But yeah, honestly, great show overall. Like if I had to rank all 4 seasons, not individual seasons, all 4 seasons together, I'm giving it like an 8 because I could rewatch it. I liked the show. Great casting. Just very... I felt like it trailed. Like it fell off a little bit as the seasons went on. Seasons 1, 2, and 3, solid. Season 4 got a little wonky for me.
See, season for me, it wasn't so much I felt like it dragged. It just felt rushed. Because like me and my wife, we were like, okay, that happened. And then it pops up on Netflix. It's like 2 episodes left. And we're like, what? Like, they
Yeah,
have so much to explain right now that they're
shorter than all the other seasons. Weren't the others like 10 episodes? This was like 6.
something like that. But I just felt like they spent so much time building up like Nick Offerman's like uprising and all that, and then it was like in the last 2 episodes, like, oh, okay, Ben and like just merged together, created the monster, and the last episode was like, okay, we're gonna do that, and then I think it would have made more sense to time loop the end of that episode back just to episode like 1.
No, that would have been the greatest ending ever, is if they woke up as either kids or woke up as adults. Not necessarily like as a dream, because it's such a fucking cliche ending. But they ended up back in the original timeline. I don't like the fact that there is this, quote unquote utopian world, essentially, that exists because they're not there. What the fuck? The world's not a wonderful place. Whether they existed or not, the world's not perfect.
Well, the marigold flower does grow right at the end.
Sure,
so
and that's fine.
So that, like, I get where they were going. They went back to all the way back to the beginning.
No, see, the thing is, though, it's just the world today without them in it. Because that's what the timeline switching was. It was always the same time, just in different, like, times,
Right.
And it just pissed me off a little bit. Not a huge fan of the ending. And the whole Ben, Jennifer turning into this like giant blob monster and killing them all. Okay, I really don't know what the fuck was happening at the end. Like, never before when they used their power, like, they're like, power up, and they just got like a gold ball in their chest. When the fuck did that ever happen?
See, I wish, now granted, again, budgets and CGI and all that, but like, I think it would have been better for them to like all fight the monster, because then you get one last showing of like all their powers, and then the monster literally just like drains them, and then
I'm cool with
whatever.
that, and kills them.
You know what I mean? Because that's what it seemed like was happening when Victor was like blasting it. It was just like absorbing her.
It was becoming
like
stronger.
His power. Right. So like that would make sense. Like, okay, everybody, you get one last show. You get to see like, Klaus doing his thing with like an army of the dead or whatever. You see Luther, I guess, just punching.
Strong as fuck, yeah.
Like,
Well, so, and here's the thing that I love-hate about the show. It's dysfunctional family. So, like, anyone that's in a family can relate. Because you don't always love your siblings. You don't. You love them, but, like, you don't always get along.
I don't have to like you, but I have to love you.
Absolutely. So, like, I have 3 sisters. You think I get along with them all the time? Fuck no. But I think what it would have been cool is rather than them all, like, they all individually went after the monster, right? And it proved futile.
Right.
But then they should have, and I hate that I'm going to fucking reference this. God damn it, I want to shoot myself for referencing this. The Marvels. They find out how to work together and utilize each other's powers to make themselves better as a whole.
I haven't watched it.
Dude, it's so terrible. God, don't watch it. Don't watch it. It's so bad.
I've literally watched the post-credit scene, and that's all I've seen of the Marvels.
Out of solidarity for the MCU, because I've invested so much time, and I love Robert Downey Jr., I was like, I have to watch this. Not that Robert Downey Jr. is in that movie, but, like, I have such respect for RDJ creating the MCU that, like...
Technically, now he didn't.
Yeah, no, he didn't. You're right.
It's Wesley Snipes did.
Blade. Whatever, I'll take it. But I have respect for Wesley Snipes, so fuck it. But, yeah, so, like, they each learn each other's powers and, like, how they work. So these people obviously have been with each other long enough that they know how everyone's powers work.
Right.
But, like, okay, so there's an army of the dead. He can make them corporeal, and Luther could throw them at the monster, and Allison could, telekinetically move people, and Klaus could fly and take, fucking Victor up, and there's a giant concussive shockwave at the monster. So, like, I don't care, but they need to work together. I'd like to see Teen Titans style fighting, where, like, they're utilizing each other's powers to make theirs stronger. And that would have been a really cool fucking ending, tied in with yours, where it's just a futile effort, and they're all constantly losing power as it goes on, and they're slowly getting drained and drained and drained until they die, and that would have been a cool ending. It did not end that way, though. No. They all just held hands. They
glowed for a little bit.
Glowed for a hot second. I would have even been okay with the Luther idea of talk about a time where, like, you were happy with each other. And they just do flashbacks to dumb shit. It doesn't even need to be when they were happy. It was just, like, when they thought they were happy.
Right.
And I would have been cool with that. Because the concept of, like, it ending on this note was just dumb. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. Say what you want, think what you want.
See, what I would have wanted to see was, like, because what struck me weird was, like, Ben, like, his face kind of, like, pokes out. He's like, I'm sorry, guys. But, like, seasons 1 through 3, like, I know Ben was dead in season 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
But, like, Klaus was still talking to him.
Correct. He just exists. He was Klaus's best friend.
Right. So, like, the fact that they got no closure at all in the show is, like...
Well, I think the closure
why?
was the fact that Klaus was consistently trying to just, like, befriend Ben the entire time. And then Luther, who has the daddy issues, was trying to make Ben part of the group because he wanted everyone to feel like they were together and it wasn't their Ben and whatever. I get it. I want a quick run down the list of their moniker names, like, from the comic book series. So, number 1 is Luther, a.k.a. Space Boy. Number 2, and this one really fucked me up, because it doesn't make sense, Diego. You could have picked, I don't know, fucking Killshot, Sharpshooter, literally anything. I mean, we could go with, like, the Daredevil name.
Projectile Man.
Yeah, and anything. His name is the Kraken. So I need you to understand this. When I'm going to hit Ben in a second. We're going to get there.
So...
Yep, we're going to get there. His name is the Kraken.
Okay.
3 is the Rumor. Obviously, we know who that is.
Allison.
4 is Seance.
Which would be Klaus.
Yep. 5 is just 5.
Makes
6
sense.
is Ben the Horror.
So why wouldn't Ben be the Kraken?
And then 7, Vanya the White Violin. So... Ben, I understand being the Horror. If number 2, Diego, was not the Kraken. Because Ben's original power is... So with the janky Marigold, he gets tentacles out of his back that he's able to control. Correct. Essentially like Doc Ock. In the original series and the comics...
They came out of his chest.
They come out of... He opens an interdimensional portal in his stomach.
That's what it
that
is.
Releases a fucking monster. He is releasing an unimaginable horror on the world, which, I get it, makes sense. Why they named a dude the Kraken when there's a guy with tentacles really fucked me up.
That makes no sense to me.
Bullseye. Anything. You could have named him fucking anything. One Shot. I don't care.
Maybe it was one of those things where they were writing in pen. And they were like,
they were like, Kraken.
Kraken. And then they got the pen and they're like, oh, crap.
Fuck. That would have been a great name for it.
Too late. Can't erase it now.
And, like, when I'm reading through these names, because, again, I was curious as to, like, you know, before I even read the books, I was like, they called 5-5. They never gave him a name, and that is to not create his humanity. Because as a child, he transports to the future. He doesn't have a family. He calls himself nothing. He doesn't refer to himself as anything, so he never gets a name.
First, he goes to the apocalypse and absolutely has a wife.
He has
I
a
forget
wife.
her name, but it's the mannequin.
It's a mannequin. But my point is so when the Hargreaves kids eventually decide, they never had names. Luther, Allison, Klaus, Ben, none of these people, Vanya or Victor, never had names. They never had names prior to that. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. When they decided to leave the Hargreaves mansion is when they all gave themselves the names. So, because 5 wasn't there, 5 was always just 5. When he came back, he never gave himself a name because it shows that he never had humanity. He was not serial killer, he was an assassin. He worked as an assassin for 60 years.
Right.
Giving himself a name would give himself the humanity that would be involved with having a name.
Which would then make him a monster, not...
Yes, not a contract killer. And I kind of liked that about the series. They always just called him 5. Even in the CIA, he was Mr. 5. Which, real weird for me because, like, we're not going to assume he was, back in the Kennedy era when there was, like, paper applications to shit. This dude had to apply to the fucking CIA in 2024 with no fucking last name, the first name 5. So what did he put on that application that they approved him? How did he get fucking accepted into the job? Now, you need to understand that this all happens within, like, a few months. It's not supposed to happen over years of time. 5 is the only one that seems like he's aged because he was a child when this fucking show started.
Right.
So he got hired in at what age? He's been drinking the entire fucking show. Because he's 60 in his mind. So, like, I'm cool with that. I take that out of the equation. Aidan Gallagher is young. Off the fucking bat. This show's taken 6 years to fucking make. So he might be old enough to drink now, but he was never old enough to work for the CIA in the beginning of this show. So he was a teenager. So how did he get hired at the fucking CIA? They didn't do a background check that this dude has he doesn't have a birth certificate or a social security number. He's a number. What the fuck happened? I know our government's fucked up, but really? That fucked up?
Be like Cher going for a job interview.
Yeah. What's your name? Cher.
So that's your
You
last
know what,
name?
though? She'd get hired immediately, though, because she's famous. And that's the one thing that I did like, and just we're going to kind of wrap this side of it up so we can get into the happier side of things. We have the Umbrella Academy. We met the Sparrow Academy Season 3, and they introduced the Phoenix Academy, which is an amalgamation of the Umbrellas and the Sparrows, which is really fucking cool. I like that concept. I wish we dived into that a little further. But again, I liked the seasons overall as a whole. This season just didn't hit for me the same way the first 3 did.
And I completely agree. I'd give it a solid. I know you said an 8. I'd give it like a 7.5.
Okay, listen.
That's all 4 seasons.
I rounded off because I really, really liked season 1. Like season 1, it did it for me as a show that I said, if there is more of this, I'm going to watch it. And It made me go into reading a comic off a show that I had no idea even had a comic. I didn't know Gerard Way was involved with. Like, there was so much shit that I was like, oh my god, like this is a fucking great show. Right. And it was similar but different. Like, it was a superhero show, kind of, but also dysfunctional family, and also time travel and assassination, and like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little substance abuse in there. Like, it was a little interesting. It had a lot of dark stuff, like the darker side of superheroing. Yeah,
not quite on the boys level, but
I agree.
Same thing. Like, they had very adult themes that they covered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and especially like in the 4th season, like Klaus, like he was very, very hung on, I'm sticking to my sobriety. Like, that was a big like talking point in that last season.
Can we real quick? So just on that, because you mentioned it before we finish off on this. What happened to the waiter? He throws his shot back and it hits the waiter in the face.
Right.
So we're assuming that waiter got superpowers. That waiter had to have gotten superpowers. And I want to explore that timeline.
Either that waiter got superpowers, or it was more of like the Incredible Hulk when Stanley drinks the infected soda and it just kills him.
That's true. I just feel like the Marigold really works on anyone that, like, it could have worked on anyone. It just happened to be those, like, 38 fucking mothers.
And that's what that's the other thing I would like them to kind of explain more is, like, would it work on anybody, or is it kind of like X-Men where you have to have, like, the gene for it to bond to, or the boys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to
well, no, and the boys, the V works on pretty much anybody, doesn't it?
But it could kill you.
It could kill you.
So, like, does it kill you or give you superpowers? Or does it mutate you? Because, like, not everyone in the boys is, like, Homelander, Anthony Starr. Like, you're a good-looking, super powerful human. Like, you're just you could end up as a fucking monster. And I'd be cool with that. Not, like, personally, but if that was a storyline they wanted to fucking...
Run.
You know what? Umbrella Academy, make a miniseries. Please, animated series.
Make a spinoff.
Spinoff, animated, anything.
Just about the butler. That's it.
Pogo? Yes, fuck yeah. I'm down with that. Now on to happier news. Mark finally saw Deadpool and Wolverine, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I say spoilers abound, but if you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to see it, or if you're just being like a lazy ass.
Wait for it to come out and stream.
Fuck you. You're probably not listening to our podcast if you're like not watching Deadpool. All right, so Now that you've watched it, I've watched it 3 times, so I need to hear your opinion on it because I have so many, and I think some of them are hot takes, some of them are like, wow, fucking awesome opinion. I agree with that. So hit me with some shit.
So first things first, I give it a solid A minus.
Okay, I take that. I absolutely agree with that.
It had some things that kind of irked me, but overall, very enjoyable film. Absolutely love the fact that to date in the MCU, the F word has been used, I believe it's like 120 times. And 119 times is in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, that's 110%.
And the fact that Kevin Feige also came out and said expect rated R projects, which could open a lot of doors for characters like the Punisher, Moon Knight.
Yes, Blade. Blade again. That would be awesome.
Which, they're rumors right now, but allegedly Tobey Maguire, Wesley Snipes, and Carmen Electra all have signed on for Secret Wars. Ooh. And they're supposedly all anchor beings.
I like it. I'm down with that. All right, so because I know the list is short, give me your gripes with the movie.
So really the first thing, and it's not that it's really a gripe for me, it's more just like, when exactly does this take place, and how does time work in the void? Because there's all these Deadpools allegedly roaming around. Mm-hmm. However, through all of Loki and everything like that, like, we never even got like an Easter egg towards a Deadpool kind of a society.
Sure.
Also, the fact that like Goliath is still alive. So does that mean that He Who Remains? Because I believe this takes place right around Civil War. Because when he's going for the job interview, there's no Avengers around. And that's why, is because half of them are in jail. And the other half are just scattered about.
Is that like a thing?
I'm pretty sure that's like...
So I'm going to be honest with you. I did like little to no research after this movie because I was just so happy with it that I was like, I'm okay with whatever comes from this. Like, I'm just cool with it. So obviously the Avengers exist. I don't know if Happy's doing the interviews because Tony's dead, though. Not that Tony's like technically in charge of them, like financially. Captain America's technically in charge of them as like the leader. And Cap left. Tony's dead. So is that why Happy's interviewing? Because he's looking for new people?
I took it as right at the post, it's at the post credits. It's either the end scene or the post credit scene of Civil War. Like, walks up and you see like Wanda and Vision and like the new half of the Avengers kind of like there. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if like he was interviewing for that team in that point in time in the MCU.
It's possible. So what really confused me about this movie, right? Like, there's definitely different timelines, obviously, because Deadpool uses the TemPad to jump and find Wolverine, right? But also during the part where he goes back to do the interview with Happy, Jon Favreau, he's wearing Cable's watch, his time travel watch.
It's pretty much picking up, I believe, right at the end of like Deadpool 2.
Correct. So what realistically happens, so he goes back, he saves his girlfriend from being shot.
Correct.
So she's never shot in Deadpool 2 when they break into his apartment.
Correct.
So the events of Deadpool 2 don't happen.
I believe it's kind of like a flashpoint. They happen, but only Deadpool remembers it.
Correct. So, but they don't happen in like after he goes back and he undoes the shooting. They don't happen. So yes, they happened, but this is a splinter timeline because he changed the past, according to the MCU.
Right.
So there is the sacred timeline where she gets shot. The alternate timeline is she doesn't get shot. Now, he lives in the alternate timeline, though, because they're saying they're going to prune it.
Right.
He doesn't want it to be pruned. But at the end, only the sacred timeline remains. So was she shot? I'm sorry, I got to ask that question.
I think no, because isn't his condition that those 9 people come with him
Yes.
So then no,
Okay,
she
I
wouldn't
guess she
be.
wasn't.
So then she wouldn't
So
be
then,
shot.
then he rewrote the past just in that specific. Now I wonder how that's going to affect the future.
Well,
because
that's the question:
we're gonna
is are
butterfly
we
effect that
acknowledging Fox's timeline as being part of Marvel's timeline, or are they separate? Or are they separate events?
I don't. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think because they put it in this movie, it's now part of Marvel's timeline. But fuck me, if, I'm not Kevin Feige. So, yeah, it's a good question. But any other gripes with the movie?
I mean, I wasn't a fan of them having him and Vanessa kind of being like separated and having that kind of be like their thing. But overall, I thought this would have been a great time for them to introduce the fact that, I don't know if you know this or not, in the comics, Vanessa is a mutant.
Okay.
And basically her power is like, she's a shapeshifter, but like...
Ooh, interesting.
Like 10 times stronger than like Mystique. Like she can copy you on like a molecular level.
I like that. That's interesting.
And I wish that like they could have put that in there. I did like, however, that they had the biker from the first movie be like one of the 9 like key people he wanted to bring over.
But every time he talks, he's like, "Shut up."
He has one line in the entire movie. But no, there's a lot of things that I'm like really happy with. Number one is the fact that they finally give Deadpool his adamantium blades. Mm-hmm. His katanas are now made out of adamantium. Before, I don't know if it was they weren't allowed to use the term adamantium in the past 2 movies or whatever, but...
Well, I mean, it was technically a Fox, so I don't see why not, because Wolverine was Fox.
Right, but I'm saying as far as like a marketing kind of a thing, because it's like Wolverine's thing is he has the adamantium blade. So now you give them the Deadpool too, it kind of diminishes the value of Wolverine having them. I mean, as to where now in the Marvel universe, you could have everybody, like now, I feel like it, follow me on this. So for me, Marvel, I feel like is a bigger umbrella than Fox.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it makes more sense that in the Marvel umbrella, he would have adamantium, because then you have Lady Strike, you have X-23, you have Wolverine, you have all these other characters. And yes, they popped up in like Fox's network, but like Marvel owns way more characters that would have an opportunity to do that. Like in The Incredible Hulk, which was a Fox movie, they could have brought up like something about vibranium. But like Marvel has Wakanda and all that to where it actually comes from. So it makes more sense for vibranium.
Absolutely.
There.
I'm curious to see if they decide to do an adamantium vibranium comparison.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we got Secret Wars coming up, so there has to be a version of Captain America in there. Like there just has to be, or even Peter. I could see Peter or Falcon. Falcon would have the vibranium shield, and then I'm assuming Deadpool's going to become part of Battle World.
I'd like to see more Ryan Reynolds in there. Like just the concept of that is fantastic. Even if they don't have him play him, they just have him voice.
Honestly, you know what I would honestly be absolutely okay, like bare minimum from here? So Deadpool got his trilogy, and he's now in the MCU.
Yep.
If they just used him for like the Stan Lee cameos now, like just have him dressed up as Stan Lee.
You mean just like Deadpool, but like with a mustache on his mask and the Stan Lee glasses?
Yes.
I'd be cool with that.
Pulling in as cameos, pretending to be like Stan Lee.
Stan Lee's character.
Yes.
I would be fine with that. That'd be hilarious.
So like, I think that would be hysterical if it's like, okay, we don't want to touch Deadpool anymore until we actually know what we want to do with the character now. Because there's a lot of ways you can go. You can definitely go the Midnight Suns now because you have Deadpool, you have Wolverine. I mean, you have Battle World coming up, I would assume, with Secret Wars.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there was a lot of things, too, in the movies that, like, I really like. So, like you said, it opens the door to get a new Blade movie or even just a wrap-up movie.
Yeah.
We now finally got Channing Tatum after 20 years as Gambit.
Oh, my God, dude. I want to talk about that so bad. It's so good.
I was going to say, did you love it or hate it? Because if you know the stories behind it, it makes it so much better. I know everybody's like, oh, like Gambit, #1, hands down, always a fan favorite. I feel like when it comes to the X-Men, it's like Wolverine, Gambit, and probably...
I'd say Storm.
Or
Scott Summers. Like Cyclops.
They're probably like your top 4. But like Gambit's like that one that like was never part of the X-Men, but everybody loves. And if you know the stories behind like the meetings that Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds, the actors, had about the character. Like, literally, so, like, obviously he walks in and he's like, I am Remy LeBeau. They call me the Gambit. And he's like, you want to run that by me again? So, while they would be on set, Channing Tatum would, like, deliver a line. And Ryan Reynolds would be like, nope, this time I need to not understand anything. So he would, like, crank up the accent. And then, like, he would be so cranked up that, like, eventually Ryan Reynolds would be like, okay, like, I need to understand this part. So then they would do, like, the run that they do where, like, he understands nothing. And he's like, all right, run that again. He's like, I am the Gambit. He's like, I'm sure you are.
Yeah. I actually really liked Gambit. I like Channing Tatum as him. I know there's a lot of, like, memes and videos and, you know, whatever, like, TikToks and stuff going around. Reels, whatever you want to call them. I know they're all the fucking same thing now. But, like, where it's just making fun of his accent. But... and this is as a parent of someone who watches princess movies now. Princess Tiana in The Princess and the Frog is from Louisiana. So they're from essentially the area that Gambit would be from. You know, like Bourbon Street. Or not, maybe. Is it Bourbon Street? I could be wrong.
What are you talking about, Channing Tatum or
Yes.
Gambit?
No.
Gambit himself. Gambit himself, I believe, is from New Orleans.
Yeah, so that's what it, like.
Yes.
He's from like New Orleans, Louisiana.
I know Channing Tatum's from a little bit, I think, west.
Okay, but there is a character in there. His name is Ray, and he is a lightning bug, and he has the same fucking dialect, like almost to a T. Different voice because it's just, you know, a different character. But same fucking voice to a T. Honestly, like, hilarious. Fucking hilarious. But that's what it reminds me of. And I actually saw a post today. I'll have to find it. But it is the lightning bug Ray dressed as Gambit. And I was like, this couldn't be more true. And, like, I think of it in that regard. Like, it is from Louisiana. It's from New Orleans. It's how I feel he should talk. And again, I'm not from Louisiana, so please understand that, like, I have very little knowledge of this, but, like, the knowledge that I was exposed to, I feel like it was pretty accurate.
So one thing that I would have probably changed, that I think kind of would have hit a little bit better. I mean, don't get me wrong, they nailed it with the whole bye choreography during the fight scene.
Awesome.
I think what would have been better is you save, like, the choreography kind of a scene for something other than him versus TVA. What I would have done is just have him fight the TVA, but then when he's ready to fight Wolverine for the first time, you play The Greatest Showman, like, the first song. Because it starts with, ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. And I know so many, like, Marvel and comic book fans have been waiting to see the live action, like, Deadpool versus Wolverine fight.
Yeah.
That I think it would have been just that double entendre of Hugh Jackman. Because don't get me wrong, like, they're in the minivan, he smacks his head, and it plays, like, the beginning of the song. And then later on, when you have all the different, like, variant Deadpools, there is one in the back right corner that's, like, the circus.
The Deadpool core.
Yeah, when you have the Deadpool core. But in the background, if you look in the back right, there's one with, like, the circus outfit and everything on.
I did see that. I mean, I love the Deadpool core. I love the concept of that, since we're going to bring that up. I know they had a lot of, like, famous people voicing the characters of Deadpool. You know, Kid Deadpool, Baby Deadpool was, like, his children.
Actual kids. Blake Lively was Letty Pool.
Yeah. So, like, I thought that was awesome. Like, Matthew McConaughey was in there. Like, we had, like, so many...
The Cavalry.
Yeah, so many big names in this, just making the voices for stuff. It was cool. I think a huge thing for me is the Deadpool fourth wall break. Like, the fact that it happened in the way that it happened in this movie. Like, again, they see the giant Ant-Man skull. And he's like, Paul Rudd finally aged. Like,
that was my favorite
fucking hilarious. And again, there's just, like, little shit like that makes Deadpool one of my favorite characters. Like, as a comic / now live action character, especially in, like, movies, TV, whatever. He's one of those people that, like, he's saying the things that we're all thinking. You know, we all look at Paul Rudd and we're like, dude, you've been the same age for, like, 35 years. what the fuck is going on?
Right.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. I mean, even Hugh Jackman doesn't look like he aged that much. I mean, Jesus Christ, he was in fucking great shape for this movie. Good for you. Because people were out there like, that's CGI. No, Hugh Jackman is just jacked. Good for you, man. At any age to look like that, fucking bravo. I couldn't look like that, and I'm half your age. So, you know, applauding to you. But it's really, you know, it comes down to the, like, I thought that was such a well-rounded movie. There was a lot of cool references from, like, the original X-Men movies when they go to, you know, the Ant-Man body.
The Void.
Yeah, when they're in the Void. So
You
there's...
get Toad, you get Johnny Storm.
Oh my god, let's talk about Chris Evans real quick. Loved that. I loved the fact that they prepped you for Captain America with the blue and the red.
And even with Deadpool in the background talking, because he's like, oh, he's gonna say Avengers. He's like, flame on.
Which, again, fucking awesome. Because they brought back a Chris Evans character that, like, was essentially forgotten about because of Captain America. Like, for those of us that know Chris Evans, you know he was Johnny Storm. But when you think of Chris Evans, you don't think Johnny Storm anymore.
No.
He overwrote that by becoming Captain America, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that they brought it back, and then the fucking post-credit scene where he really did say all that
everything.
fucking shit was amazing. Oh,
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's an interview with Chris Evans that was like, the only reason he came back to do it was because he could use the profanity, because like Captain America, he had to play such a stoic, like, good do-gooder. He was like, it felt really good to just kind of unload a little bit. But
And I'm honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, it felt weird watching that. But I loved it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was awesome. It was like, wow, like, holy shit, Chris Evans, good for you.
But yeah, they brought back Pyro. They brought back Lady Deathstrike.
I can't remember his name. The dude that literally looks like the fucking devil.
Oh, Azazel.
Yeah, and
Azazel from Days of Future Past.
Immediately fucking
Yes.
recognized him. So I don't think it's the same guy.
First Class.
Okay.
He was in First Class.
So, but like, great fucking, good on you. Like, you brought back so many characters that we had known from previous, Fox movies. I was like, fuck me, man. Like, I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, well, I know that guy. I know this person. I know that girl. And it was so cool. And then we brought back some original other characters like Elektra, Blade, X-23, who's now effectively an adult. So, yeah, that for me, I was like, this is actually kind of fucking cool.
So 2 Easter eggs I want to know if you caught, and one I kind of want to dive into just really briefly because I know we're pushing it on time. So first things first, did you notice Elektra's bed was the Hulk's bed from Thor?
Yes, I did notice that.
Number 2, did you notice the ceiling piece? The tableau of the Scarlet Witch from the temple in Madness.
Yes.
So that leads me to a question.
Shoot.
Did Wanda die in Multiverse of Madness, or did the TVA prune her before she could? And is she somewhere in the void?
I'll tell you what, she's somewhere in the void. She's either mourning her kids or she's given up magic, because there's no fucking timeline in the world where Wanda's not just like OP as fuck, just ripping people apart.
And that's what I'm curious of, because she was in that temple as it was collapsing, and all you see is like a zoom out with a red pop. Now, is that red pop her getting pruned?
Maybe, or it could have been her killing a bunch of the fucking TVA agents, or trying to kill TVA agents, and one of them prunes her.
Like her fighting the TVA.
Yeah. Which, again, I would be okay with, whether you want to explore that or not. Marvel, that's on you. Kevin Feige, I'm holding you accountable for this if I ever get an interview with you. But no, like, that would be an interesting... I'd like to see that. There was no mention of, like, the Lokis, or, you know, what happens with any of the other people. Like, is this before Loki? Is this after Loki? Is there really time in the void?
And that's my thing, because if this is after Civil War, Loki got pulled after the Battle of New York. So if he got pulled after the Battle of New York, that would put him getting into the void probably around the same time.
Maybe. Again, it depends on when Deadpool technically has the 616 timeline.
And that's what I'm curious of. So is this He Who Remains running the void at this point with Alliance guarding him? Or is it Loki controlling?
But would Loki bring Goliath back? 'Cause
Possibly.
Like old Loki, like the OG Loki, killed Goliath. No, it's like that was like the concept. Did Loki bring Goliath back? Is this before Loki kills Goliath? Is this, right after the Battle of New York? Who knows? I'm genuinely curious. It would have been kind of cool to when they did like the zoom out. Just in the background, there's just Tom Hiddleston's just fucking running across the desert. Whatever. I think it would have been funny. Whatever it was.
Or even have a Loki pop in.
Even a shitty Loki. I would have taken a shitty Loki. None of the cool ones that we had. But it's like a garbage Loki. Just, garbage time stuff. There were so many fucking cameos in this movie. I was like, I don't know if we could technically fit anymore, but it was really just well written, well rounded. So happy with everything and how it kind of worked out. It was chef's kiss. As is the easiest way to put it. Just bravo on you guys on how you wrote it, on how you played it.
The way they integrated him into the MCU
it was
seamless.
Absolutely. So I'll take that any day of the week. I want to hear, you said A-.
I would say probably a solid 9.1, 9.2.
I agree with you. I'd say in the nines, in the low nines. It was just one of those movies that rewatchability, I'd watched it 3 times. I'll probably watch it again. I thought it was awesome. And again, it was funny. It was serious. It brought back a lot of my childhood.
How'd you feel about all the Wolverine cameos?
I thought it was awesome. All of the Wolverine cameos?
Well, the variants.
Oh, the variants I thought were cool. Because there was the comic accurate height Wolverine. There was the brown and yellow suit Wolverine. There was Patch Wolverine. There was the fucking Apocalypse Wolverine. The Cavalrine, which really got me. I
love he did the patented shing shing. In every movie he does, I don't even know what you would call it, the warm up with his arms where he does the 2 jabs. I know he does it in whatever Mission Impossible movie he was in. He does it in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's his trademark move.
I loved the variants. I love the fact that there was the yellow suit. Again, it's kind of confusing. They don't really explain where his sleeves go. And I'm not even griping. It's just if I had to nitpick this movie, he passes out after he beats the shit out of Deadpool and ties him up in the minivan.
I love when he wakes up and rolls there and Deadpool's just tied up.
Yeah, he's tied up in a fucking seatbelt. But then he still has his sleeves there. When Deadpool wakes up, there's no did he cut them off himself with a single claw?
Maybe.
What happened? I don't know. It's just I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. I don't really have many gripes with this movie. That was the only question I really had.
The only other gripe I had was the fact that the Deadpool Corps was against Deadpool.
Well, so I don't know. I don't know if they're necessarily against him, or it's just they've been together for so long and this is a different Deadpool. Prove yourself. But also, can we talk about Nice Pool and how he didn't have regenerative abilities? What the fuck?
So here's my thing. Is it that he didn't? Because he takes a lot of shots and doesn't die. So is it that he doesn't have regenerative powers, or is it he's just so nice that nobody's ever wronged him for him to need to use his healing power?
Well, but he doesn't come back with all the rest of them. He's just had his head blown off. And there's no, concept of him coming back. Also, I'm glad they didn't kill Dogpool to bring him back. Or her, I guess, her back, because technically it's a her.
I love the Dogpool. Wolverine's, just walks past and everybody just stops shooting as he just walks past.
They got respect for Dogpool. I'll take it. Honestly, 110%. Dogpool is fucking awesome. I love the fact that Dogpool is on the red carpet. Dogpool was, in the suit on the red carpet. This random dog just became wildly famous. I'm sorry, the dog has 400,000+ followers on Instagram. What the fuck am I doing wrong?
Well, it's what you call it, Gator Loki when he popped up. But no, there's just so many good things about this movie, and I can't wait till it does come out the stream so I can watch it over and over again and start actually nitpicking and breaking down little things. But just as a first to watch and enjoyability, it's one of the best movies that Marvel's put out recently.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Not that-
anything past Endgame has really been like a crapshoot. Like it's a flip of the coin whether it's going to be good or not.
Right.
So, and I love the fact that he does reference that. But you know, I digress. We're closing up shop here, guys. Next on our slate is Alien Romulus. We're going to check that out in theaters, hopefully in the next week or so. Give you guys a review on that. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to close this out. We love the beer, love some movies, love some TV. You can check us out on all of our socials at the Nerds Who Drink. We're now on TikTok, against my better judgment. You can check us out on all of our major streaming platforms. I know it's been a while since I've done our outro, but whatever. We're on mostly Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I don't think we're on Amazon. I'm going to check on Amazon. But we're there. We're here to listen. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Steve.
I'm Mark.
And we'll catch you guys next time.